to this interview series. My name is Antje and I'm an associate editor of the Journal of Small Business Management. I have the great pleasure to talk with Tom Allison about his paper on how donations to small business entrepreneurs are related to language-based cues of personality traits embedded in appeals. The research was conducted by him together with his colleagues Aaron Anglin, Blakely David, Piat O, Stella Seyb, Jeremy Short, and Marcus Wolfe. Their paper, Standing Out in a Crowd of Victim Entrepreneurs, How Entrepreneurs' Language-Based Use of Personality Traits Affect Public Support, was published online in April 2022 in the Journal of Small Business Management. Tom is an associate professor in the Department of Entrepreneurship and Innovation of the Neeley College of Business at TCU. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Great to have you here. Thank you for joining us. So Tom, to start with, can you please tell us where the idea for the paper came from?
Yes, of course. So we think very directly from the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic in February and March 2020, seeing all these small businesses forced to close their doors and the consequences that had for all businesses, of course, but especially for small businesses, which tend to be undercapitalized and are, less able to respond to crises and unexpected events.
That was a difficult time for everyone. So we are always interested in the theoretical contributions. So what would be kind of your key highlights for the academic community?
Okay, so I think our overarching lens is to see how entrepreneurs can make themselves stand out in a crowd of many entrepreneurs who need help. So of course there were hundreds of thousands, millions across the world of businesses that were forced to close and who would have benefited from the help of their community. And the question in terms of a research question is, why would relative strangers, some might have pre-existing relationships, but why relative strangers want to help? And to understand that, we started with this idea of the identifiable victim effect, that as someone needing assistance of kind of public assistance, it's better to be identifiable than to be a statistical victim. And on top of that, we have this idea that language-based cues might be one way in which people could make themselves more identifiable. And of course, the absence of those might make one less identifiable. So boiling those two pieces together, we have this idea of how personality makes one identifiable amidst this pandemic.
That's great. So I think there are clear some contributions for practitioners, but could you elaborate a little bit on this and also what implications you would have for policymakers?
Okay, sure. So I'll take them in turn. So in terms of practitioners, so entrepreneurs, there's a lot to be gained from allowing a personality, authentic personality to shine through. And I think we often get this funny idea that entrepreneurs should be, one way, this stereotype that largely Western media has propagated about, the entrepreneur should be passionate, right? And they should be a specific kind of leader, and they should have this one kind of personality that we identify with. Maybe visionary entrepreneurs. And I think our study puts some to the test and shows that really kind of just expressing yourself as an individual tends to be good for most aspects of personality. For policymakers, this shows that small business, kind of unlike massive corporations, benefit from the well of support that exists kind of deep down in people's hearts, right? That they see small businesses not just as an enterprise, but as a feature of the community to be preserved. And I think that's important in how policymakers should think about how to respond to future crises.
So interesting. So as we come to the end of this meeting, I wonder if you do have maybe further comments or thoughts about the research that you would like to share with the community of the Journal of Small Business Management?
Sure, absolutely. So I think there's tremendous potential in understanding kind of further how the ways in which personality, but also the other unique aspects of entrepreneurs, right? So their emotional expressions, how those are expressed in pitches generally. So this is a pretty unique example of pitches, right? These are appeals for help amidst a pandemic, but I think there's tremendous potential for drilling into how entrepreneurs express themselves in a very broad sense in entrepreneurial pitches. And that's something that spans all sorts of different funding contexts, all kinds of different industries. It addresses basic problems of entrepreneurial skill, but it also addresses societally interesting problems of contributing to better opportunities, right, for entrepreneurs who have largely been marginalized in decades past. So I think that's an area of great promise, and I hope some of our colleagues will pick that up going forward.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Tom, for taking the time to share these really interesting insights about the research paper with us today. And I'm sure that the listeners now want to read the full version of the paper, which is available at the Taylor and Francis website of the Journal of Small Business Management. Thank you so much again for joining us.
My pleasure, Anja. Thank you for having me.